Hi, it's Serena from highlyrecommendedbooks.com, and I'm here today to tell you why I loved and why I highly recommend Daniel Silva's new book, The Cellist. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Daniel Silva before. He's had a long string of bestsellers. His main character is a Gabriel Alon who was at one time just an art restorer, but then through a series of events became the director of Israel's, Director General is the term they use, of Israel's intelligence department, which we know as the Mossad. In the books, Daniel Silva refers to it as the office or the firm. Silva has never shied away from making his political viewpoints known. And you may not agree with them, and even if you don't agree with them, that's not a reason to not read this book, because it really is a great book. And what Silva excels at is giving us really accurate depictions of the craft of espionage, how one country, or sometimes one corporation, but in this case, how one country spies on another country. And he really has that nailed. And in fact, because he's so good at explaining spycraft to us, he has become the Le Carré of the 21st century. Instead of depicting the Cold War as Le Carré had done, Silva is giving us geopolitical tensions that look at the Middle East. They look at Russian cronyism and politics. It's all over the globe because we really are a global network now. In The Cellist, the story begins with the poisoning of a Russian dissident who had self-exiled from Russia to London. Now, in the story, this Russian dissident, Viktor Orlov, dies because of some poisoning, and at first we don't know exactly how it happened, but quickly, and I'm not giving away anything here, this all happens in the first chapter of the book, but the British intelligence officers quickly figure out that Orlov has been poisoned with a nerve agent called Novichok. Now, this may sound like fiction. It's clearly a major part of this story, but it is not fiction. And in 2018, there was a Russian dissident, last name Skripal, who was living in Salisbury, England, outside of London, and Putin sent agents to assassinate him. And they did that by incorporating Novichok, which the Russians developed. It's a nerve agent that shuts down the entire body's autonomic system, and you basically crash and die. Putin sent agents to England. They sprayed Novichok on him. They used an atomizer. It was a perfume bottle with an atomizer. They sprayed it on Skripal and his daughter, who both collapsed. A police officer came to aid them. He too was contaminated. All three of them were hospitalized, but managed to pull through. About a month or two later, a man was walking around Salisbury and saw this perfume bottle, and it looked like it was full, and he thought it would be a great gift for his girlfriend. So he picked it up from the street where he'd found it, brought it home, gave it to his girlfriend. She sprayed it on herself. She died. He was sickened and lived. So there you have 5 people in England being harmed. One of them died, being harmed by agents of Putin. and the British government objected strenuously, as one might imagine, and expelled all of the Russian diplomats that they could find. So Silva is incorporating real life events into his books to depict how countries are connected and meddle and spy on each other, and the kinds of assassinations that are taking place, between countries. And it's not just, I should say, that Russians are attempting to assassinate other Russians living in England. Governments order these kinds of hits all the time, as far as I can tell. So anyway, I just thought that was a really interesting kind of sidebar here. And if you go to the end of the book, you will see Silva's author's notes. And they are pages and pages long in this case, where he's telling us these are all of the real life events that he considered when crafting this story. And I say crafting because he really does write beautifully. He uses the perfect word, but they're not in a super erudite kind of way that makes you have to go and look up every word. But he is smart and he writes really well. He describes to us the craft of espionage and gives us characters that recur from story to story so that we feel like we know them. Alon is one of these characters who has been in his role of Director General for a period of years, and it's really taking a toll on him physically, him emotionally. He has a young wife and 2 small children. He's always being targeted by bad guys and has to go into hiding. He's sometimes injured, sometimes very catastrophically injured. As you will recall, his first wife and child were in a car that was blown up by Arab extremists, and his wife is in a mental institution. His young child died. So he's a very sympathetic character who doesn't really want to be the Director General, but has in some ways been forced into that role because there's no one else ready to take the job. Anyway, the Cellist refers to a character who is not in the normal circle of Alon's friends and co-workers, who are not just Israeli, but British and French and American politicians and CIA, FBI, MI5, MI6. He works with all of them, and that is how it actually works in the real world. All of these global superpowers who are democracies work together. Anyway, in the Cellist, the main character is a cellist, a young woman who was partially responsible for the poisoning of that dissident Orloff. She didn't intend to. She was really just a courier who happened to deliver the contaminated documents to Orloff. She is asked to work with Alon and his team because they quickly figure out that the hit on Orloff was ordered by Putin and his cronies who are raking in the bucks with a new sort of mobster cabal in Russia. And they need to bring him down because they are aware that Putin is meddling in the politics of all these other countries. So they recruit this young woman, this cellist, who works at a bank that they describe as Rhine Bank, a German bank, and they describe it as the dirtiest bank in the world, that it has habitually laundered money for Putin. But if you read in his author's note, he being Silva, explains to us very carefully that Rhine Bank is modeled after Deutsche Bank, which is a real bank, and it is and always has been well known to be a bank that capitalized on the wealth of Jewish people that was confiscated by Adolf Hitler's regime during World War II. And it still is in existence today, has lots of holdings in the US. So, think about where you do your banking. Anyway, this young woman is called to help them bring down Putin. She risks her life to do it. And it is just a fascinating story that shows us the inner workings of Putin's inner circle. Truly fascinating. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of tension and spying and not too much violence, but violence when it's necessary and you would expect it. So I highly recommend this book to anyone who loves Silva. And even if you don't agree with his politics, read it anyway. It's a fabulous story. You'll really enjoy it. It's well written, it's fun, and it's kind of heartwarming, truthfully, the way the characters work together. So read it, and as I said, you will enjoy it. Now, one thing I keep reminding you, sign up for my newsletter. If you go to the website, highlyrecommendedbooks.com, you will see the sign up. You just click on it in order to sign up. If you are signed up to receive the newsletter, you will be automatically entered into a drawing for another book box. And book boxes are my gift to a lucky winner. They're filled with books, many of them autographed by the authors, really fun things. There's candy. There's lots of great stuff in each box. So sign up right away, because I'm going to hold another drawing in the middle of next week. So sign up now, but if you don't get into this one, there'll be another one next month. Anyway, have a great day. Keep reading. Thanks a lot. Bye.